Hello, friends. Today's topic is the cost of living in Japan. Let's rant.
This is what $1,600 gets you in central Tokyo. The building's kinda old, but I promise it's better inside. The building's gated, pet-friendly, and the neighbors are really nice. I'm in an area called Meguro, so it's only a 10-minute bike ride to Nakameguro, Ebisu, and Daikanyama. My apartment's a 2-bedroom, or 2LDK as the Japanese call it, and I have about 80 square meters excluding the balcony. Prices for 2 bedrooms can vary quite a bit, but renovated apartments in older buildings are the best bang for buck in Tokyo. The building was built in the 70s, but units in newer buildings tend to cost twice as much and you only get half the square footage. It's not the fanciest place in the world, but I love the space in the living room and the apartment gets a lot of sunlight. Fun fact, I live in front of the only pomegranate tree in Tokyo.
I'm sure a lot of you are wondering how much it costs to live in Japan, so let's break everything down. Now, because it's winter, it's a little bit more expensive, but my gas bill was $4,620. My electricity bill was $3,780. Wi-Fi was $4,436. Water, it comes about every 3 months. It's about 3,000 yen. Health insurance is $11,570. When I was a student, it was only $1,210. Pension is $23,790. Then my rent is $53,000. What do you guys think? Is it affordable to live in Japan? Let me know in the comments. Also, you should follow me if you want more videos like this.
I get a lot of questions asking how much does it really cost to move into a home or an apartment in Japan? I'm talking renting, not owning, so that's a whole other thing. This is a very broad question because Japan is like almost the size of California. It's not just Tokyo. So these are some things that you need to prepare for if you're going to rent. You're going to pay the base rent fee. You're going to pay key money, which is basically a thank you to the landlord for letting you live there. This can be anything between 1 to 4 or even 5 months of rent. You will not be getting that money back. You may also have to pay a deposit. Might be 1 to 3 or 4 months rent, depending on where you're going. You have to pay for fire insurance, which is about maybe 10, 20,000 yen. If you don't have a Japanese guarantor, you may get one from a guarantor company, which is also a big fee. When you are renting a place in Japan, please be prepared to cough up maybe 5 or 6 months worth of rent up front. After that, your rent will be fairly cheap. If you are looking for housing, just look for your local real estate company and send them an email.
This is how much I spent in Japan as a 24-year-old visiting from Los Angeles. For my flight, I spent $0 since I redeemed my Chase Sapphire points for a free flight. Living, I spent a total of $969 between 3 Airbnbs, and that was for 11 nights. For food, I spent a total of $753.05. A big chunk of that was our omakase, which cost $277. But you know, when you're in Japan, you just kind of have to. Transportation, I spent a total of $492.19. A big chunk of that was our JR pass, which cost $324. For entertainment, I spent a total of $156.14. That was for 4 clubs, Shibuya Sky, Team Labs, and an art museum. Did not like the art museum, but we don't talk about that. No shopping, I spent a total of $715. This includes gifts and souvenirs, the Labo, my first pair of Gentle Monsters, and shopping halls at both GU and Uniqlo. For alcohol, I spent a total of $222.80, grand total to $3,308. Aside from that, yes, I did let the yen take advantage of me. It was so fun. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm definitely will be back. Goodbye.
Man, it seems like the cost of living is cheaper in Japan. Compare that to other places. Let's continue.
Want to move to Osaka, Japan, where the cost of living is 60% lower than the US. Rent is 76% cheaper, and you could live comfortably with $1,435 a month. Live the bachelor dream when rent is only $585 for a 1-bedroom apartment in the city center and $456 in the suburbs monthly. Groceries are only $191 per month, utilities $130, fast internet is only $30, and an unlimited cell phone plan is $28. A date at a nice restaurant costs about $17, or splurge on a luxury meal for $45. Transportation is a breeze when an Uber or taxi is only $2.10 per mile. Being the breadwinner is easy when renting a 3-bedroom house is $820 per month in the city and $700 in the suburbs. The average 3-bedroom home costs about $220,000. Local families live comfortably with $2,725 a month. Ready to pack your bags? All you need is your passport and you can stay visa-free for 90 days. Then you could apply for a tourist visa and stay for another 90 days.
How much does it cost monthly as a couple to live in downtown Tokyo, right next to Ueno Park? Let's have a look inside. Our electric bill is 7,400 Yen, gas is 9,200, water is only 7,400, and that's because we only have a bathroom and one small shower. This place is a 2 LDK, so we have 2 bedrooms and one we just use as a workroom. There's a small balcony and an even smaller balcony. For rent, we pay 290,000 yen each month, but don't forget, with rentals, you have to bring your own washer, your own fridge, you have to install lights, and buy your own curtains. But just one more thing. Just to get the key to this place, you're gonna have to put down $10,000. That is including your deposit, gift to the landlord, and insurance. It gets expensive to live in downtown Tokyo.
How much does it cost to live in Japan as a digital nomad? Let's find out. Egg thunder for breakfast, $2. Coffee for $1.50. Or get any of these. Breakfast sets for $4. A modern apartment in Tokyo, $1,000 a month. Catching the train from one side of Tokyo to the other for $1.60. Sushi for lunch, $1 a plate. And wash it all down with a healthy smoothie for $2. And just for fun, you can have a karaoke session for $2. Or soak in an onsen for a couple of dollars. Or try your luck on the claw machine for 70 cents a turn. And finally, end your day devouring a yakiniku set for $3. This is insane value. If this sounds like your dream, then jump on Skyscanner, find the best flight, and come to Japan. So, who's moving here?
I spent about $2,000 traveling to Japan, and that's including flights, so let me tell you how I did it. Now, I told you in my last video about my budget that I spent $350 in cash. That's all I brought in cash, but that's not how much I spent because I used my card a lot. I'm from Atlanta, so let's get the flights out of the way because this probably isn't going to apply to you unless you're also from Atlanta, but I wanted to stop and say hey to my friends in LA before we left. So my flight from Atlanta to LA on Delta was $200, and my flight from LA to Tokyo was $700. And if you're wondering how I got those flight prices, check my pinned video. I teach you how to get really cheap flights. Okay, next up is hotels, and we stayed at 2 hotels in Tokyo, 1 in Osaka and 1 in Kyoto, and spent $500 for the whole trip. It would have been $1,000 if I paid for all of those rooms by myself, but I was splitting a room with a friend, so $500. For short daily train rides, I spent $45 the whole trip. For Uber, spent $100. Now you don't have to Uber. I could have cut costs here, but we flew in at 4 a.m. and we were looking cross-eyed and tired and didn't want to try to figure out the trains, so Uber. For activities, so again, this is gonna vary person to person, but me personally, I went to Shibuya Sky, Tokyo Disney Sea, an onsen, the Ginza Art Aquarium, and I used the Osaka Amazing Pass, which includes a couple different things. Then I also did a tea ceremony and Tokyo Sky Tree. All of those totaled up to $166. For food, I felt like I was eating whatever I wanted, but it just was really cheap for some reason. I spent about $20 per day on food, so that totals up to $140. And then souvenirs is where I went a little bonkers. Actually, not really compared to some people. I spent $300 on souvenirs. And just to reiterate, I used my card to pay for almost all of these things that I just mentioned. I used up the cash that I brought, but mostly everything took card except a couple food places, the temples, and whatever other places I talked about in my last video about this. But the grand total with flights included is $2,290. I did round up on some things, so it's probably a little bit less than that. And then without flights is $1,251. I'm really proud of that. I feel like, actually I know I've gone to other places and spent way more money. Like it was more expensive for me to go to Ireland, Belgium, and the UK than it was for me to go way further and go to Japan. So that's that. Let me know if you're going to Japan soon, what your budget is, and if you've been already, how much money did you spend? I'm curious.
Maybe I should move too. Japan, maybe. It's good to travel and see different places and people. Think about that. Your money has more buying power in other places than your own. Nice. Thank you for watching until next video.